In the Nikajo Osai techniques, Shite breaks Uke's balance and controls him to the mat by bending his wrist in a sideways V shape. Through the practice of Nikajo, Uke develops strong and flexible wrists, elbows, and shoulders. In this technique, Uke is controlled and taken to the mat with the Nikajo technique when Uke grasps Shite's hand and pulls. From Migiai Hamikamai, shuffle in and Uke grabs Shite's left hand with his right and pulls. Shite shifts to the side with Uke's pull and applies an atemi. Shite moves to the side while raising both hands in the Nikajo position, applies Nikajo and moves forward while cutting Uke's arm down. Cross steps forward with the back leg towards Uke's armpit, steps forward again taking Uke to the mat, turns to face Uke and controls Uke's shoulder with the Nikajo pin. Moving with Uke's pull, Shite moves his back leg and left hand while applying a right back fist. Moving from the front foot to the side, Shite circles his left hand up to grasp Shite's wrist with his left hand and right hand. Moving forward and cutting down like with a sword, apply the Nikajo Osai. Without releasing the control of Uke's wrist, Shite shuffles forward while cutting Uke's arm down. As Shite moves forward, the left hand moves to Uke's elbow. Cross step forward the back leg towards Uke's armpit, cross step forward once again, and take Uke to the mat. Pivot on the left knee to face Uke while placing Uke's arm in the crook of your elbow. Grasp your chest while the right hand moves to Uke's elbow with the right tegatana. Push the left hip forward and control Uke's shoulder with the Nikajo pin. This is the same technique, but performed from a sitting position. From Mige Hamikamai, shuffle in and perform Seizaho. Moving with Uke's pull, move to the side and apply an atemi. Circle both hands to the Nikajo position and apply Nikajo. Move the right knee forward while cutting Uke's arm down. Move the left knee forward, then the right, taking Uke to the mat. Move to the Nikajo position and apply Nikajo pin. It is important for Shite and Uke to keep their focus and concentration while performing the Seizaho movement. Move the left knee in a circular motion while applying the atemi. Move to the side, raise both hands to the Nikajo position. Using the power of the hips, apply Nikajo. Without releasing the Nikajo, move the right knee forward while cutting Uke's arm down. While moving forward, the left hand moves to Uke's elbow. The left knee moves towards Uke's armpit, then the right knee. Turn to face Uke and apply the Nikajo pin. In this technique, uke is controlled and taken to the mat with nikajo osai, using a pivoting and shifting movement when grasping shitei's hand and pushes. From hidari gyaku hami kamae, move with uke's push to the side and apply a temi. Pivot 45 degrees while raising the hands to the nikajo position. Apply the nikajo. Pivot 180 degrees to the rear and shift taking uke to the mat. Face uke and apply the nikajo osai pin. Moving with uke's push, move to the side from the front foot while applying an atemi. Pivot 45 degrees while both hands move to the nikajo position. Apply the nikajo osai. Without releasing the nikajo control, pivot 180 degrees to the rear, keeping uke's arm in front of shitei while the left hand moves to uke's elbow. Shift the weight, taking uke to the mat, move to the nikajo pin position, and control uke's shoulder with the pin. This is the same technique, but performed from a sitting position. Moving with uke's push, move to the side and apply an atemi. Pivot and raise both hands to the nikajo position. Apply the nikajo and pivot 180 degrees to the rear and shift, taking uke to the mat. Moving to the pinning position and pin uke's shoulder. As uke pushes, move the left knee to the side and apply an atemi while coming up on the toes. Pivot 45 degrees to the rear while raising both hands to the nikajo position. Using the power of the hips, apply the nikajo. Without releasing the nikajo control, pivot 180 degrees to the rear and shift, taking uke to the mat. While pivoting, shitei's left hand moves to uke's elbow. Move to the pinning position and pin uke's shoulder. In this technique, uke is controlled and taken to the mat using the nikajo technique when uke grasps both of shitei's wrists and pulls. From Miyai Hami Kamae, shitei uke shuffle in, shitei offers both hands at chest height. Uke pull, shitei moves with the pull, moves to the side, raises both hands to nikajo, applies nikajo, shuffles forward, grabs uke's elbow, cross steps in towards the armpit, cross steps again, taking uke to the mat, turns to face uke, and applies the nikajo pin. Shitei offers both hands at chest height, uke grasps and pulls. Move the left leg to the side with uke's pull. The left hand moves as in katate mochi nikajo osai chi, while the right hand moves inside to control uke. Move to the side while raising both hands in the nikajo position. Moving forward, apply the nikajo osai. Without releasing the nikajo control, shuffle forward and cut uke's arm down, while the left hand moves to uke's elbow. From the back leg, move towards uke's armpit. Move forward from the back leg, taking uke to the mat. Turn to face uke and pin the shoulder. This is the same technique, but performed from a sitting position. From Migie Hami Kamai, shuffle in and perform Seizoho. As Uke pulls, Shite moves to the side and comes up on his toes. Moves back to the side and moves to the Nikajo position, applies Nikajo, the right knee moves forward as cutting Uke's arm down, move the left knee in towards Uke's armpit, the right knee moves forward, controlling Uke to the mat, turn to face Uke and apply the Nikajo pin. Shite moves to the side and comes up on the toes, moves back controlling Uke, use the power of the hips to apply Nikajo, the right knee moves forward, the left knee moves towards Uke's armpit, the right knee moves forward, turn to face Uke, and apply the Nikajo pin. In this technique, Uke is controlled and taken to the mat using a Nikajo technique using a pivoting and shifting movement when grasping both Shite's hands and pushing. From Hidariyaku Hami, Uke grabs as in number 1 and pushes. Shite moves to the side, lifts both hands up while pivoting, moves forward, applies the Nikajo, pivots 180 degrees and shifts, taking Uke to the mat, moves to the Nikajo pin position, and pins Uke. Uke grasps as in the number 1 technique. As Uke pushes, Shite moves to the side. The left hand moves as in Katate Mochi Nikajo Ichi, the right hand moves inside. Pivot 45 degrees, raising both hands. Move forward, using the power of the hips to control Uke's wrist, elbow, and shoulder. Without releasing the Nikajo, pivot 180 degrees to the rear and shift and take Uke to the mat. As Shite pivots 180 degrees, the left hand moves to Uke's elbow. Turned on the left knee to face Uke and apply the Nikajo pin. This is the same technique but performed from a sitting position. From Migie Hami Kamai, Uke shuffle in and perform Seizoho. Uke grasps and pushes as Shite moves to the side, pivots raising the hands, applies the Nikajo, pivots and shifts taking Uke to the mat, faces Uke, and applies the Nikajo pin. Uke grasps as in the standing technique. As Uke pushes, Shite moves to the side and comes up on the toes. Pivots 45 degrees. And using the power of the hips, applies the Nikajo. Shite pivots 180 degrees to the rear while taking Uke to the mat and applies the Nikajo pin. In this technique, Uke is controlled and taken to the mat with the Nikajo Osai when grasping Shite's right hand with his right hand, crossing over and grasping from the top and pulling. From Migie Hami Kamai, Shite offers a right hand palm down and Uke grasps from top and pulls. Shite moves with Uke's pull, applies a Nikajo, shuffles forward while cutting down, cross steps in, cross steps again taking Uke to the mat, turns to face Uke and applies a Nikajo pin. Moving with Uke's pull, the back leg shifts while the right hand moves in a circular motion outside of Uke's wrist. The left hand controls Uke's fingers, and the right hand is in a Tegatana position at Uke's wrist. Moving forward, use the tegatana to apply the nikajo osai. Moving forward from the front foot, the hand moves back to uke's wrist and cuts uke's arm down while the left hand moves to uke's elbow. At the finish of this movement, shite should be controlling uke's wrist and elbow. Cross step in towards uke's armpit, cross step in again, taking uke to the mat, turn to face uke, and apply the nikajo pin. This is the same technique, but performed from a sitting position. From Mige Hami Kamae, shuffle in and perform Seizaho. Shite offers the right hand palm down, uke grasps on top and pulls. Shite moves to the side, circling the hand up, applies the nikajo, shuffles forward, cross steps in, cross steps again, applies the pin. Move the left knee to the side with uke's pull while the right hand moves in the same motion as the standing technique while coming up on the toes. Use the power of the hips to apply the nikajo. Move the right knee forward while cutting uke's arm down. The left hand moves to uke's elbow. The left knee moves towards uke's armpit. The right knee moves forward, taking uke to the mat, turn to face uke, and apply the nikajo pin. In this technique, uke is controlled and taken to the mat with nikajo osai using a pivoting and shifting motion when grasping shite's right hand with his right hand in a cross-hand grasp and pushes. As uke pushes, the back foot circles forward while the front foot moves back while the hands circle up. Apply the nikajo, pivot 180 degrees and shift taking uke to the mat, turn to face uke, and apply the nikajo pin. As uke pushes, shite moves in a circular motion while the hand circles up and the left hand controls uke's fingers. The front foot moves back diagonally. Shite shuffles forward using the power of the hips and applies the nikajo. Shite's right hand moves back and pivots 180 degrees, keeping uke's arm in front of him. Shift taking uke to the mat, face uke, and apply the nikajo pin. This is the same technique but performed from a sitting position. From Mige Hami Kamae, shite shuffle in and perform Seizaho. Shite offers the hand with the palm down, uke grasps on top and pushes. Shite moves to the side while coming up on the toes, raising the hands, applies nikajo, pivots to the rear and shifts, taking uke to the mat, faces uke, and applies the nikajo pin. Shite moves from the left knee to the side as uke pushes while circling the hands up. Using the power of the hips, apply nikajo. Pivoting on the left knee, keeping uke's arm in front of shite. Shift, take uke to the mat, and apply the nikajo pin. In this technique, uke is controlled and taken to the mat with the nikajo technique when grasping shite's elbow from the top and pulling. From Miyai Hami Kamai, Shite shuffle in, uke grabs shite's left elbow on top with his right hand and pulls. Shite moves with uke's pull, shuffles forward, moves the left hand up, applies the nikajo, moves the left hand back, shuffles forward while cutting down. The left hand moves to the elbow while cross-stepping forward, cross-step forward again, taking uke to the mat, face uke, and apply the nikajo pin. Uke grabs on top and pulls. As uke pulls, shite moves to the side while applying an atemi. Shuffle forward while the left hand moves across uke's arm. Apply the nikajo pin using the power of the hips and the elbow while the left hand moves towards uke's head. The left hand slides back and shuffle forward, cut uke's arm down. Cross step from the back leg towards uke's armpit while the left hand grabs uke's elbow. Cross step again, taking uke to the mat. Turn to face uke and apply the nikajo pin. This is the same technique but performed from a sitting position. From Miyai Hami Kamai, shuffle in and perform Seizaho. Uke grabs stage left elbow with his right on top and pulls. Shite moves with uke's pull to the side. Moves forward while the left hand slides up, applies the nikajo. The left hand moves back, step forward and cut uke's arm down. Step with the left knee towards uke's armpit. Step forward with the right knee, taking uke to the mat. Turn to face uke and apply the nikajo pin. As shite moves to the side and applies an atemi, he comes up on his toes. Moving the right knee forward to the side, the left hand slides up uke's arm with the elbow on top of the wrist. Apply the nikajo, pull the left hand back, move forward and cut down uke's arm, move forward from the left knee, the right knee taking uke to the mat, turn to face uke, apply the nikajo pin. In this technique, uke is controlled and taken to the mat with nikajo osai using a pivoting and shifting motion when uke grasps shite's elbow from the top and pushes. From Hidari Gekko Ame Kamai, uke grabs as a number 1 and pushes. Shite moves to the side while applying an atemi. Pivots 45 degrees, the left hand slides up. Apply the nikajo. The left hand moves back. Pivot 180 degrees and shift, taking uke to the mat. Release the grip, pivot on the left knee to face uke, and apply the nikajo pin. Stay moves to the side and applies the atemi. Keeping contact with Uke's hand and Shitei's elbow, Shitei pivots while raising the left hand. Apply the nikajo. The left hand moves back. Pivot 180 degrees. Shift, taking Uke to the mat. Release Uke's grip, pivot to face Uke, and apply the nikajo pin. This is the same technique, but performed from a sitting position. From Migyae Hami Kamae, shuffle in and perform Seizo Ho. Uke grasps as the number 1 technique and pushes. Stay move to the side and applies an atemi. Pivots 45 degrees while sliding the left arm up. Applies nikajo. Left hand moves back. Pivots on the left knee 180 degrees, taking Uke to the mat. Release the grip. Face Uke and apply the nikajo pin. Shitei moves to the side with Uke's push, applies an atemi and comes up on his toes. Pivot on the left knee while raising the left hand. Shuffle forward using the power of the hips and apply the nikajo. Left hand slides back. Pivot 180 degrees, taking Uke to the mat. Release the grip. Turn to face Uke and apply the nikajo pin. In this technique, Uke is controlled and taken to the mat with nikajo asai when grasping Shitei's shoulder and pulling. From Migyae Hami Kamae, shuffle in, Uke grabs Shitei's left shoulder with his right with the palm down and pulls. Shitei moves with Uke's pull, moves to the side, applies nikajo, shuffles forward, cutting Uke's arm down, cross step towards Uke's armpit, cross step again, taking Uke to the mat, releases the grip, turns to face Uke, and applies a nikajo pin. Uke grasps with the palm down and pulls. As Uke pulls, Shitei shifts and applies an atemi. Moves to the side while the left hand slides up, shuffles forward and applies the nikajo osai using the power of the hips and shoulders, keeping Uke's hand in contact with his shoulder. Keeping Uke's hand in contact with his shoulder, shuffle forward and cut Uke's arm down while the left hand moves to Uke's elbow. Cross step with the back leg towards Uke's armpit. Cross step again, taking Uke to the mat. Release the grip. Turn to face Uke and apply the nikajo pin. This is the same technique but performed from a sitting position. For Mige Hami Kamai, shuffle in and perform Seiza. Uke grabs as in the standing technique. Shite moves to the side and punches. Moves back to the side as the left hand slides up Uke's arm. Using the power of the hips, applies the nikajo, moves forward, cutting down Uke's arm, grabbing the elbow. Left knee moves forward. Right knee moves forward. Break the grip, turn to face Uke. Apply the nikajo pin. Moving with Uke's pull, Shite comes up on his toes. Moves back to the side, keeping Uke's hand in contact with his shoulder. Slides his left arm up. Using the power of the hips, applies the nikajo. Moves the right knee forward while cutting down. The left knee moves forward. The right knee moves forward, taking Uke to the mat. Release the grip, turn to face Uke. Apply the nikajo pin. In this technique, Uke is controlled and taken to the mat using the nikajo osai technique with a pivoting and shifting movement when grabbing Shite's shoulder and pushing. From Hidari Gami Kamai, Uke grabs as a number 1 technique and pushes. Shite moves to the side and applies an atemi. Controls Uke's wrist, pivots while raising the left hand, shuffles forward, applies the nikajo. Keeping contact with the shoulder, pivots, releases Uke's arm, shifts, take Uke to the mat, pivots on the left knee, applies the nikajo pin. Shite moves with Uke's switch to the side while applying an atemi. Shite controls Uke's hands, pivots 45 degrees while left hand slides up Uke's arm. Shuffle forward, apply the nikajo, keeping Uke's hand in contact with the shoulder. The left hand should slide along Uke's arm. Without losing the nikajo, pivot 180 degrees while releasing Uke's grip. The left hand moves to Uke's elbow. Shift, taking Uke to the mat. Pivot on the left knee to face Uke. Apply the nikajo pin. This is the same technique, but performed from a sitting position. From Mige Hami Kamai, shuffle in and perform Seiza Ho. Uke grasps as in the number 1 technique and pushes. Shite moves to the side and applies an atemi. Grabs the hand, pivots, applies the nikajo, pivots 180 degrees to the rear and shifts, taking Uke to the mat, faces Uke, and applies the nikajo pin. Shite moves from his left knee to the side while coming up on the toes while applying an atemi. Pivots 45 degrees while keeping Uke's hand in contact with the shoulder. Use the power of the hips to apply nikajo. Pivot on the left knee to the rear. Shift, taking Uke to the mat. Turn to face Uke and apply the nikajo pin. In this technique, Uke is controlled and taken to the mat using the nikajo osai technique when grasping Shite's chest and pulling. From Mige Hami Kamai, Shite Uke shuffle in, Uke grabs Shite's chest with his right hand and pulls. Shite moves with the pull and applies a temi. Moves to the side, applies a nikajo osai, Moves forward, cutting Uke's arm down while the left hand moves to the elbow. Cross step forward again. Release the grip, turn to face Uke, and apply the Nikajo pin. Shuffle in, Uke grabs Shitei's chest and pulls. Shitei pivots with Uke's pull and applies the Natemi. Moves back to the side, keeping contact with Uke's chest, applies the Nikajo. Shitei should use the power of the chest and hips while applying the Nikajo. Moving forward, Shitei cuts Uke's arm down while the left hand moves to Uke's elbow. Moving from the back leg, step towards Uke's armpit. Move the right leg forward again, taking Uke to the mat. Release the grip, pivot on the left knee to face Uke, and apply the Nikajo pin. This is the same technique, but performed from a sitting position. For Migyai Hami Kamai, shuffle in and perform Seizaho. Uke grasps as in the standing technique and pulls. Shitei moves to the side and applies the Natemi. Moves back, applies the Nikajo. Moves forward while cutting Uke's arm down. Moves the left knee forward, then the right knee forward. Releases the grip, pivots on the left knee to face Uke, and applies the Nikajo pin. Moving with Uke's pull, Shitei moves to the side and applies the Natemi while coming up on the toes. Moves back to the side, applies the Nikajo, steps forward with the right knee while cutting Uke's arm down. Moves the left knee forward, then the right knee forward, releases the grip, faces Uke, applies the Nikajo pin. In this technique, Uke is controlled and taken to the mat with the Nikajo Osai technique using a pivoting and shifting motion when grasping Shitei's chest and pushing. From Hidari Gakko Hami Kamai, shuffle in, Uke grasps and pushes. Shitei moves to the side while applying the Natemi, pivots 45 degrees while raising the left hand, applies the Nikajo. Without losing the Nikajo, pivots 180 degrees to the rear, shifts, take Uke to the mat, and applies the Nikajo pin. Uke grabs his number one technique and pushes. Shitei moves to the side and applies the Natemi. Grasps Uke's hands, pivots 45 degrees, applies the Nikajo. Shitei should use the power of the chest and the hips when applying the Nikajo, and the left hand slides along Uke's arm. Without releasing the Nikajo control, pivot 180 degrees while releasing Uke's grip. Shift, take Uke to the mat. Turn on the left knee to face Uke, and apply the Nikajo pin. This is the same technique, but performed from a sitting position. For Migyai Hami Kamai, shuffle in and perform Seizaho. Uke grasps in the number one technique and pushes. Shitei moves to the side and applies the Natemi, pivots while moving the left hand, applies the Nikajo. pivots to the rear and shifts, taking uke to the mat, turns to face uke, applies the nikajo pin. Moving with uke's push, stay moves to the side and applies an atemi while coming up on the toes. Stay pivots 45 degrees to the rear while moving the left hand up, applies the nikajo. Keeping the nikajo control on, pivot 180 degrees, shift, taking uke to the mat, and apply the nikajo pin. In this technique, uke is controlled and taken to the mat using the nikajo technique when shite strikes at uke's head with her front strike. From Migyai Hami Kamai, shite uke shuffle in. Shite strikes at uke's head like in Shomanuchi Ikajo Osaichi. She cuts forward to chest height, turns to face uke, applies the nikajo, shuffles forward cutting uke's arm down, cross steps forward with the back foot, cross steps forward with the right taking uke to the mat, pivots on the left knee to face uke, and applies the pin. Shite should strike as in Shomanuchi Ikajo Osaichi. When shite moves forward, cuts down to chest height. Keeping contact with uke's wrist, apply the nikajo. Shite should use the thumb of the right hand, and as the hand raises, the left hand moves from the elbow to the wrist. Using the power of the hips, apply nikajo. While controlling uke's elbow and shoulder, shuffle forward and cut down. Cross step from the back foot towards uke's armpit, cross step again, taking uke to the mat, pivot on the left knee to face uke, and apply the nikajo pin. This is the same technique but performed from a sitting position. For Migyai Hami Kamai, shuffle in and perform seizoho. Shite strikes to uke's head, uke blocks. Shite moves forward, cuts down, turns to face uke, applies the nikajo, moves the right knee forward, cuts uke's arm down, the left knee moves forward, the right knee moves forward, turn to face uke, apply the nikajo pin. As shite strikes, he comes up on his toes, moves the right knee forward, cuts uke's arm down to chest height, pivots to face uke, uses the power of the hips to apply nikajo, move the right knee forward, cut down, the left knee forward, the right knee move forwards again, taking uke to the mat, pivot on the left knee to face uke, apply the nikajo pin. In this technique, uke is controlled and taken to the mat using the nikajo technique when uke strikes at shite's forehead with her front strike. From Hidari Gakuno Mikamai, shuffle in, uke strikes, shite blocks. Shite pivots on the front foot to the rear while cutting uke's arm down, moves to control uke's arm, applies nikajo, pivots on the front leg 180 degrees to the rear, shifts, take uke to the mat, turns to face uke, and applies the nikajo pin. When shite blocks, the left hand moves underneath uke's elbow, pivot on the front foot to the rear while cutting uke's arm down. Move to the nikajo position, shuffle forward, use the power of the hips, and apply nikajo. Pivot 180 degrees to the rear, shift, taking uke to the mat, pivot on the left knee to face uke, and apply the nikajo pin. This is the same technique, but performed from a sitting position. From Miyai Hami Kamai, shuffle in and perform Seizoho. Uke strikes with a front strike to Shitei's forehead, Shitei blocks, pivots to the rear while cutting Uke's arm down, moves to the Nikajo position, applies the Nikajo, pivots on the left knee 180 degrees to the rear, shifts, take Uke's to the mat, turn to face Uke, applies the Nikajo pin. As Shitei blocks Uke's strike, he comes up on his toes. Pivots on the left knee to the rear while cutting Uke's arm down to chest height, moves to the Nikajo position, use the power of the hips to apply Nikajo. Without releasing the Nikajo control, pivot to the rear and shift, taking Uke to the mat, turn to face Uke, and apply the Nikajo pin. In this technique, Uke is controlled and taken to the mat using the Nikajo technique when Uke strikes at Shitei with a side strike. From Miyai Hami Kamai, shuffle in, and Uke strikes at Shitei's temple with a side strike. Shitei moves to the side and blocks, crosses over, moves forward, cuts Uke's arm down, moves to the Nikajo position, applies the Nikajo, moves forward, cutting Uke's arm down, cross steps towards Uke's armpit, cross steps again, taking Uke to the mat, turns to face Uke, and applies the Nikajo pin. As Uke strikes, Shitei blocks with the left hand at shoulder height while applying an atemi, crosses the right hand over, and moves forward and cuts Uke's arm down to chest height. Moves to the Nikajo position, uses the power of the hips to apply Nikajo. Without releasing the control, move forward while cutting Uke's arm down, the left hand moves to the elbow, cross step from the back leg towards Uke's armpit, cross step forward again, taking Uke to the mat, turn to face Uke, and apply the Nikajo pin. This is the same technique but performed from a sitting position. From Miyai Hami Kamai, shuffle in and perform Seizoho. Uke strikes with a side strike and Shitei moves to the side and blocks, crosses a hand over, moves forward and cuts Uke's arm down. Turns to face Uke in the Nikajo position, applies Nikajo, moves forward cutting Uke's arm down, moves the left knee forward, then the right knee forward, turns to face Uke, and applies the pin. As Uke strikes, Shitei moves to the side and blocks with the left hand at shoulder height and comes up on his toes while applying an atemi. Crosses the right hand over, moves the right knee forward while cutting Uke's arm down to chest height. Turns to face Uke in a Nikajo position, use the power of the hips to apply Nikajo. Without releasing Nikajo, move forward and cut down. Move the left knee forward, the right knee moves forward, taking Uke to the mat, turn to face Uke, and apply the Nikajo pin. In this technique, Uke is controlled and taken to the mat using a Nikajo technique with a pivoting and shifting motion when attacking with a side strike. From Hidarigaku Hami Kamai, shuffle in, Uke strikes, Shitei moves to the side and blocks. Crosses the right hand over, pivots to the rear while cutting Uke's arm down, moves to the Nikajo position, applies the Nikajo, pivots 180 degrees to the rear, shifts, taking Uke to the mat, pivots on the left knee to face Uke, and applies the pin. Straight blocks just like in Yokominuchi Ikajo Osai Ni. Crosses the right hand over, pivots on the front foot 180 degrees to the rear, while cutting Uke's arm down to chest height. Moves to the Nikajo position, use the power of the hips, moves forward and applies Nikajo without releasing the control. Pivot 180 degrees to the rear, shift, taking Uke to the mat. Pivot on the left knee to face Uke, and apply the pin. This is the same technique, but performed from a sitting position. From Migai Hami Kamae, shuffle in and perform Seizoho. As Uke strikes, Shite comes up on his toes and moves to the side to block. Crosses a hand over, pivots to the rear while controlling Uke's arms in chest height. Moves to the Nikajo position, applies the Nikajo. Without releasing the control, pivot to the rear and shift, taking Uke to the mat. Moves to face Uke, applies the pin. As Shite moves to the side and blocks at shoulder height, he comes up on his toes. Crossing the right hand over, pivot on the left knee to the rear while cutting Uke's arm down at chest height. Move to Nikajo position. Use the power of the hips to apply Nikajo. Without releasing the Nikajo control, pivot on the left knee to the rear and shift, taking Uke to the mat. Turn to face Uke and apply the pin. In the Sankajo Osai technique, Shite controls Uke and breaks his balance by bending Uke's arm into a hook shape, and controls Uke to the mat by applying pressure on the wrist joint. As in the Nikajo technique, Sankajo also helps Uke develop strong and supple wrists, elbows, and shoulders. In this technique, uke is controlled and taken to the mat with the sankajo technique when shite front strikes at uke's head. From Migei Hami Kamai, shite nuke shuffle in. Shite strikes as in Shomenuchi Igajo Osaichi, moves forward and cuts down. Moves to uke's hand, shuffles forward, changes hands, cross steps in again, taking uke to the mat. Moves to the sankajo pin position and pins. Shite strikes just as in Shomenuchi Igajo Osaichi. Moving forward, cuts down. The right hand moves to uke's hand at the fingers and moves forward, turning uke's palm outwards. The left hand controls uke's elbow. The left hand grabs uke's wrist. As cross steps forward, the right hand moves to uke's elbow. Shite should step in the direction of uke's armpit. This is the correct positioning grip for the sankajo osai. Shite should grab uke's wrist with the meaty part of the palm with the bottom 3 fingers with the thumb and the forefinger extended. Shite should be grabbing uke's elbow on the outside. Shite changes the hands as he cross steps forward. Cross step forward from the back leg, take uke to the mat. Pivot on the left knee and grab uke's hand with your right hand. Put it on your chest. The left tegatana moves to uke's elbow. Push the left hip forward. And apply the pin. This is the same technique, but performed from a sitting position. From Migei Hami Kamai, shuffle in and perform seiza. Shite strikes at uke's head, uke blocks. Shite moves forward and cuts down uke's arm. Moves to the fingers, shuffles forward. Cross steps in with the left knee. Moves the right knee forward. Turns to face uke and applies the pin. As shite strikes, shite comes up on the toes. Move the right knee forward and cut uke's arm down. The right hand moves to uke's hand. Move the right knee forward as you turn uke's hand palm out. Grab with the left hand as the left knee moves in, change. The right knee moves forward. Pivot on the left knee while grabbing uke's hand. And apply the pin. In this technique, uke is controlled and taken to the mat with the sankajo technique, using a pivoting and shifting movement when striking shite's forehead with a front strike. From Hidari Gakao Mikamai, shuffle in, uke strikes and shite blocks. Shite pivots while cutting uke's arm down, grabs her fingers, moves to the side, moving uke's hand towards uke's armpit. Grabs into sankajo, pivots on the front foot, cross steps back while cutting down, moves from the front foot, shuffles back, and turns diagonally forward, taking uke to the mat. pivots on the left knee, grabs Uke's hands in the sankajo position, and applies the pin. Shite blocks just as in Shomanuchi Ikajo Osai Ni. Shite pivots on the front foot while cutting Uke's arm down to chest height. Shite grabs Uke's fingers and moves to the side while turning Uke's hand towards Uke's armpit. Shite should ensure to keep the right hip strongly forward. The left hand should be just under Uke's elbow, pushing slightly up. Shite grabs with the left hand in a sankajo position, extends the arm, pivots on the front foot while controlling Uke. The right hand is in front of Shite's body to help with balance. Shite cross-steps back from the front foot while cutting Uke's arm down while applying an atemi with the right fist to Uke's face. The left hand should be right in front of Shite's body. After punching, the right hand moves to Uke's elbow and Shite shifts diagonally back. Then turning from the left hip to the rear, takes Uke to the mat, finishing straight. Shift on the left knee. And apply the sankajo pin. This is the same technique but performed from a sitting position. From Migi Hami Kamae, Shite and Uke shuffle in and perform seizaho. Uke strikes and Shite blocks. Pivots on the front knee, moves to the side and controls Uke's wrist. Does a reverse pivot controlling Uke, cross steps back and punches. Shuffles back, moving the right knee forward, takes Uke to the mat, shifts on the left knee, and does the sankajo pin. As Shite blocks Uke's strike, he comes up on his toes, pivoting on the left knee to the rear, cut Uke's arm down to chest height. Grabs Uke's fingers, moves to the side while controlling Uke's arm. Shite grabs Uke's hand with his left hand, keeping the weight on the left knee, does a reverse pivot while applying his sankajo. Shite steps back with the left knee while applying an atemi and cutting Uke's arm down. The hand moves to Uke's elbow, move back, and then shifting with the left hip, take Uke to the mat. Shift to face Uke, grabbing a sankajo pin, and apply the pin. In this technique, Uke is controlled and taken to the mat with the sankajo technique when Uke strikes at Shite's forehead with a side strike. From Migi Hami Kamae, shuffle in and Uke strikes to Shite's temple with a side strike. Uke moves to the side and blocks, crosses over, moves forward while cutting Uke's arm down. Moves to the fingers, moves forward again, cross steps with the back leg, cross steps with the back leg again, taking Uke to the mat, turns to face Uke, and applies the Sankajo pin. Shite blocks just like in Yokunuchi Ikajo Osaiichi. Crosses the right hand over, moves forward while cutting Uke's arm down. The right hand moves to the fingers, shuffles forward while turning Uke's palm outwards. The left hand grabs. The right hand grabs while cross-stepping forward. Cross-step forward again, taking Uke to the mat. Pivot on the left knee to face Uke, grab in the Sankajo pin position. Using the left hip, pin Uke. This is the same technique, but performed from a sitting position. From Migya Hami Kamai, Shite Uke shuffle in and perform Seizoho. Uke strikes with a Yokunuchi and Shite moves to the side and blocks. Crosses over, moves forward, cuts Uke's arm down. Moves to the hand, shuffles forward and turns Uke's wrist outwards. Cross steps in with the left knee, cross steps with the right, turns to face Uke, and applies the Sankajo pin. As Shite moves to the side to block, his left hand should be at shoulder height and he should come up on his toes. Crosses over, uses both hands to move forward and cut Uke's arm down. Grabs Uke's fingers. As the right knee moves forward, he turns Uke's palm outwards. Grabs with his left hand. As the left knee moves in, the right hand moves to the elbow. The right knee moves forward, controlling Uke to the mat. Turn to face Uke, grab Uke's hand, and apply the Sankajo pin. In this technique, Uke is controlled and taken to the mat with a Sankajo technique with a pivoting and shifting movement when Uke attacks Shite with a side strike. From Hidari Gyaku Hame Kamae, shuffle in, Uke strikes, Shite moves to the side and blocks. Crosses the hand over, pivots while cutting Uke's arm down, moves to the side, controls Uke's arm, pivots on the front foot, cross steps back and punches, steps back and turns and shifts and takes Uke to the mat. And applies the Sankajo pin. As Shite blocks, Shite's left hand should be at shoulder height while applying an atemi. Cross the right hand over, keeping the weight on the left foot, pivot while cutting Uke's arm down to chest height. Grab the fingers, move to the side while controlling Uke's wrist, elbow, and shoulder. Grab with the left hand, keeping the weight on the left foot, do a reverse pivot, controlling Uke. Cross step back with the left foot while applying an atemi. The right hand moves to Uke's elbow. Step diagonally back. Turn the left hip, taking Uke to the mat. Shift on the left knee to face Uke and apply the Sankajo pin. This is the same technique but performed from a sitting position. From Migiai Hami Kamai, Shiteinuke shuffle in and perform Seizaho. Uke strikes, Shitei moves to the side and blocks. Crosses a hand over, pivots on the left knee, cutting Uke's arm down. Moves to the side, controlling Uke's wrist, elbow, and shoulder. Does a reverse pivot on the left knee. Steps back with the left knee while punching. Steps back and turns, taking Uke to the mat. Turns to face Uke and applies the Sankajo pin. As Shitei moves to the side and blocks, he comes up on his toes with the left hand at shoulder height and the right hand applying a temi to Uke's face with a back fist. Crosses a hand over, keeping the weight on the left knee, pivot to the rear and cut Uke's arm down to chest height. Grab the fingers. Move to the side in a circular motion, controlling Uke's wrist, elbow, and shoulder. Grab with the left hand, keep the weight on the left knee, do a reverse pivot, controlling Uke with the Sankajo. As the left knee moves back, the right hand applies an atemi to Uke's face. Then the right hand moves to the elbow, Shitei moves straight back. Then pushing from the left knee and left hip, takes Uke to the mat. Turns to face Uke and applies the Sankajo pin. In this technique, Uke is controlled and taken to the mat with the Sankajo technique when Uke grabs Shitei's hand and pulls. From Migiai Hami Kamai, Shiteinuke shuffle in. Uke grabs Shitei's left hand with his right and pulls. Shitei moves with the pull and applies an atemi. Moves forward while raising the left hand. Moves forward while cutting down. Breaks Uke's grip. Changes hands, steps forward again, taking Uke to the mat. Pivots on the left knee and applies the Sankajo pin. Shitei moves with Uke's pull while applying an atemi. As Shitei moves forward, the left hand circles up like in Katate Mochi Ikajo Saichi. Cuts down as the same. Shitei shuffles forward once more to break Uke's grip. The left hand moves along Shitei's hand to grab in the Sankajo position, step forward while changing hands. As you step forward, the right hand moves to Uke's elbow. Step forward again, taking Uke to the mat. Pivot on the left knee and apply the Sankajo pin. This is the same technique but performed from a sitting position. From Migiai Hami Kamai, Shiteinuke shuffle in and perform Seizaho. Uke grasps as in the standing technique and pulls. Shitei moves with Uke's pull and applies an atemi, moves forward, raises the hand, moves forward again and cuts down, moves forward again and breaks Uke's grip, steps forward with the left knee, steps forward with the right, turns to face Uke and applies the pin. As Shitei moves with Uke's pull, he comes up on his toes while applying an atemi. Moving the right knee forward, Shitei's left hand circles up. Move the right knee forward again, cut Uke's arm down. Move the right knee forward once more to break Uke's grip. The left hand grabs in the Sankajo position, step forward with the left knee as the right hand moves to the elbow. The right knee moves forward again. Turn on the left knee to face Uke and apply the Sankajo pin. In this technique, Uke is controlled and taken to the mat with the Sankajo technique using a pivoting and shifting movement when Uke grabs Shitei's hand and pushes. From Hidarigaku Hami Kamai, shuffle in, uke grass, as in the number 1 technique, and pushes. Stay moves to the side while applying a temi. Pivots while raising the arm, pivots again, pivots once more to break uke's grip, grabs the left hand in sankajo position, steps back and punches, steps back again, takes uke to the mat, turns to face uke, and applies the sankajo pin. Uke grabs as in the number 1 technique and pushes. Shite moves to the side while applying an atemi. Shite raises the left hand while pivoting 45 degrees on the front foot. Pivot 180 degrees while cutting uke's arm down to chest height. Pivot once more to break uke's grip. The left hand grabs uke's hand in a sankajo position. Step back while punching. The right hand moves to the elbow. Step back. Shift, taking uke to the mat. Turn to face uke and apply the sankajo pin. This is the same technique but performed from a sitting position. From Migiai Hami Kamai, stay uke shuffle in and perform Seizoho. Uke grasps as in the number 1 technique and pushes. Shite moves to the side while applying a temi, pivots while raising the hand, pivots again cutting down, pivots once more to break the grip, grabs uke's hand, steps back and punches, steps back, turns and shifts taking uke to the mat, turns to face uke, and applies the sankajo pin. Moving with uke's push, Shite moves the left knee forward to the side while coming up on the toes and applying an atemi. Pivoting on the left knee, Shite raises the left arm. Pivoting on the left knee again, Shite cuts down to chest height. Pivoting once more on the left knee, breaks the grip, grabs uke's hand, steps back with the left knee while punching, grab the elbow, step back. The right knee moves back while shifting to taking uke to the mat, turn to face uke, and apply the sankajo pin. In this technique, uke is controlled and taken to the mat with the sankajo technique when uke grabs Shite's elbow from on top and pulls. From Migiai Hami Kamai, Shite uke shuffle in, uke grabs Shite's left elbow with his right and pulls. Shite moves with the pull and applies an atemi, grabs the elbow, moves forward again and cuts down, moves forward once more to break the grip, grabs for the sankajo position, steps forward while grabbing the elbow, steps forward again, taking uke to the mat, pivots on the left knee to face uke, grabs the sankajo side pin and pins. Uke grabs from the elbow on top and pulls. Shite pivots while punching. Grabs keeping contact with the elbow, shuffles forward and slides up the elbow. Slides forward again and cuts down. Moves forward once more to break uke's grip and the left hand grabs in the sankajo position. As step forward with the left foot, the right hand grabs uke's elbow. Step forward again, taking uke to the mat, keeping uke's arm in front of you. Turn to face uke and apply the sankajo pin. This is the same technique but performed from a sitting position. From Guía Kamae, shuffle in and perform seizoho. Uke grabs as in the standing technique, Shite moves to the side and punches. Grabs a hand, moves forward and raises the left arm. Moves forward and cuts down. Move forward once again to break the grip. Grabs in the sankajo position, moves the left knee in. Moves the right knee forward, taking Uke to the mat. Turns to face Uke. And applies the sankajo pin. Moving with Uke's pull, Shite moves to the side and applies the temi while coming up on the toes. Keeping contact between Uke's hand and elbow, move forward while raising the left hand, sliding up Uke's arm. Move forward again and cut down. Move forward again to break the grip. Shite moves the left hand to grab in a sankajo position, moves the left knee forward while the right hand moves to the elbow. Move the right knee forward again. Pivot on the left knee to face Uke, grab in a sankajo position, and apply the pin. In this technique, Uke is controlled and taken to the mat with the sankajo technique, with a pivoting and shifting movement when Uke grabs Shite's elbow from the top and pushes. From Hidari Gaku Hame Kamae, Uke grabs as in the number 1 technique and pushes. Shite moves to the side and punches. Pivots while lifting up the left arm. Pivot. Pivot again, breaking Uke's grip, grabbing the sankajo position, step back while punching. Shuffle back. And turn, taking Uke to the mat. Pivot on the left knee to face Uke, and apply the sankajo pin. Moving with Uke's push, Shite moves to the side while applying an atemi. Grabs Uke's hand, keeping Uke's hand in contact with the elbow while pivoting 45 degrees while raising the left arm. Pivot on the left knee again, 180 degrees. Pivot once more, breaking Uke's grip. Grab the left hand with the sankajo position, step back while punching. Shuffle back, breaking Uke's balance. And moving from the front foot, turn the left hip, taking Uke to the mat, keeping Uke's arm in front of you. Pivot on the left knee, grabbing the sankajo position, and apply the pin. This is the same technique, but performed from a sitting position. From Miya Hamikamai, shuffle in and perform seizoho. Uke grabs as in the standing technique, Shite moves to the side and punches. Pivots while raising the left hand, pivoting again. Pivot once more to break Uke's grip, grabbing the sankajo position. Cross step back while punching. Put the right hand on the elbow, move straight back, and turn the right knee forward while turning the left hip forward to take Uke to the mat, grabbing the sankajo position, and pin. Moving with Uke's push, Shite moves to the side and comes up on his toes while applying an atemi. Grabbing Uke's hand, pivots on the left knee 45 degrees while raising the left hand. Pivot on the left knee again to break Uke's balance. Pivot once more to break Uke's grip. Grab the left hand in sankajo position. Step back and punch. Shuffle back, breaking Uke's balance more. And turning the left hip, take Uke to the mat. Shite should finish in a square position. Pivot on the left knee to face Uke. And apply the sankajo pin. In this technique, Uke is controlled and taken to the mat with the sankajo technique. The Uke grabs Shite's shoulder and pulls. From Migya Hami Kamai, Shite shuffle in, Uke grabs Shite's left shoulder with his right hand with the palm down and pulls. Shite moves with the pull and punches. Shuffles up, shuffles down and cuts down, shuffles forward, breaks the grip, grabs Sankajo, cross step forward with the back leg, cross step again, take Uke to the mat, and apply the Sankajo pin. As Uke pulls, Shite shifts and punches. Shite keeps contact with his shoulder with Uke's hand and moves forward and up. Moves forward while cutting down. Moves forward once more to break Uke's grip and grabs Uke's hand in the Sankajo position. Cross steps forward towards Uke's armpit. Cross steps forward again, taking Uke to the mat. Turns to face Uke and applies the Sankajo pin. This is the same technique, but performed from a sitting position. From Migya Hami Kamai, Shite Nuke shuffle in and perform Seizoho. Uke grabs Shite's shoulder as in the standing technique and Shite moves to the side and punches. Moves forward while raising the left hand, forward from the right knee again while cutting down. The right knee moves forward again to break Uke's grip. Step in with the left knee, step in with the right, pivot on the left knee to face Uke, and apply the pin. As Shite moves with Uke's pull, he comes up on his toes while applying an atemi. Keeping contact with his shoulder, he steps forward with the right knee while raising the left hand. The right knee steps forward again while cutting down. Move forward once more to break Uke's grip. Grab in the Sankajo position, move the left knee in towards Uke's armpit. Step forward with the right knee again. Pivot on the left knee to face Uke, and apply the Sankajo pin. In this technique, Uke is controlled and taken to the mat with the Sankajo technique, using a pivoting and shifting movement when Uke grabs his shoulder and pushes. From Hidari Gyaku Hami Kamai, Shite and Uke shuffle in. Uke grasps in the number 1 technique and pushes. Shite moves with the push as applying a temi. Pivots while raising the left hand. Pivots again. Pivot once more to break Uke. Cross steps back while punching. Shuffles back and turns, taking Uke to the mat. Faces Uke and applies the Sankajo pin. As Uke pushes, Shite moves to the side and breaks Uke's balance while applying an atemi. Pivoting on the front foot 45 degrees, raise the left hand. Keeping the weight strongly on the left foot, pivot again to break Uke's balance, and pivot once more to break Uke's grip. Grab the Sankajo position, cross step back and punch. Shuffle back while breaking Uke's balance, and turn the left hip, taking Uke to the mat. Turn to face Uke, and apply the Sankajo pin. This is the same technique, but performed from a sitting position. From Migya Hami Kamai, Shite Nuke shuffle in and perform Seizoho. Uke grasps in the standing technique and pushes. Shite moves to the side and punches. Pivots while raising the left arm. Pivot again. Pivot once more to break Uke's grip. Grabs the Sankajo, steps back and punches. Shuffles back and turns, taking Uke to the mat. Turns to face Uke and applies the Sankajo pin. Moving with Uke's push, Stay moves to the side while punching and comes up on his toes. Raising the left hand in a circular motion, pivot to the rear. Keeping a circular pivot going, keep the weight on the left knee and cut down. Pivot again to break Uke's grip. Grab with the left hand. Cross step back while punching. The right hand moves to the elbow. Cross steps back and take Uke to the mat. In this technique, Uke is controlled and taken to the mat with the Sankajo technique when Uke grasps both wrists from behind and pulls. From Migai Hamikamai, Shite Uke shuffle in and perform the Hojo Dosu movement. Uke circles around behind and grabs Shite's wrists and pulls. Shite shifts with Uke's pull while curling the hands up, raises the hands, changes his feet and steps back, grabbing his Sankajo position, shifting, cross-stepping back in punching, stepping back, taking Uke to the mat. As Uke grabs and pulls, Shite shifts while the hands curl up. The hands circle up in a circular motion. Then the left knee moves forward, the right knee moves back while the hands grab in the Sankajo position. The hands should be in front of the body at chest height. Without raising or lowering the hips, Shite shifts like in Hiriki Ryosei Ni and controls Uke with the Sankajo technique. The hand should always be in front of the body. Cross steps back with the right foot and punches at Temi's face. Grabs the left elbow, shuffles back, and steps taking Uke to the mat. Turns to face Uke and applies the Sankajo pin. In this technique, Uke is controlled and taken to the mat with the Sankajo technique with a pivoting and shifting movement when Uke grasps both hands from behind and pushes. From Migi Hamikamai, shuffle in and perform the Hojo Dosu movement. Uke circles behind and grabs Shite's wrist and pushes. Moving forward, Shite curls the hands up, raises the hands, pivots, grabs the Sankajo, pivots again, cross steps back while punching, shuffles back, steps back taking Uke to the mat, faces Uke, and applies the Sankajo pin. Moving with Uke's push, Shite moves forward from the front foot while the hands curl up. Both hands circle up to Uke's forehead in a circular motion. Keeping the weight on the front foot, Shite pivots around over 180 degrees to face Uke while hands grab in the Sankajo position. The hands should be in front of Shite's body. Keeping the weight on the front foot, do another reverse pivot to control Uke. Cross step back with the right foot while the left hand punches. Shuffle back, breaking Uke's balance. Push the right hip forward, taking Uke to the mat. Turn to face Uke and apply the Sankajo pin. In this technique, Uke is controlled and taken to the mat with the Sankajo technique when Uke grasps one wrist and one collar from behind and pulls. From Guía Kamae, shuffle in and perform the Hojo Dosu movement. Uke circles behind and grabs one wrist and one collar and pulls. Stay shifts with the pull as the hands curl up, the hands circle forward. Stay steps back and grabs in the sankajo position, shifts, cross-steps back while cutting down and punches, shuffles back, turns, takes uke to the mat, pivots to face uke, and applies the sankajo pin. Moving with uke's pull, stay pivots forward from the front foot and turns the hands up, raises the hands, changes the feet and stepping into the sankajo position, shifts, steps back with the right leg while the right hand cuts down and punches, shuffles back breaking uke's balance, turns, takes uke to the mat, turns to face uke, and applies the sankajo pin. In this technique, uke is controlled and taken to the mat with the sankajo technique, using a pivoting and shifting movement when uke grabs one wrist and one collar from behind and pushes. From Migiyahami Kamae, stay in uke shuffle in and perform the Hojo Dosu movement. Uke circles behind and grabs one wrist from one collar and pushes. Stay moves forward with the whole body as the hands circle up, pivots over 180 degrees grabbing the sankajo position, pivot again breaking uke's balance, cross step back punch, shuffle back, turn and take uke to the mat, and apply the sankajo pin. As uke pushes, stay moves forward from the front foot with his whole body as the hands curl up. Both hands circle up to uke's forehead. The back foot pivots around front to face uke over 180 degrees while grabbing in the sankajo position. Pivot again to break uke's balance, cross step back while punching, shuffle back, turn, take uke to the mat, pivot to face uke, and apply the sankajo pin. In this technique, uke is controlled and taken to the mat with the sankajo technique when uke grabs both shitei's elbows from behind and pulls. From Migiyahami Kamae, stay in uke shuffle in and perform the Hojo Dosu movement. Uke moves behind and grabs both elbows and pulls. Stay shifts while both elbows come up and forward. Change the legs. Apply the sankajo shift. Cross step back and punch. Shift back. Take uke to the mat. And apply the sankajo pin. Moving with uke's pull, stays back foot shifts while the elbows move forward and up. Cross step back with the back foot into a low position, grabbing into the sankajo position at chest height. Shift like in Hiragi Yose ni. Cross step back while punching, making sure that the right hand is right in front of the body. Grab the elbow, shift back, taking uke's balance off, turn and take uke to the mat, pivot to face uke, and apply the sankajo pin. In this technique, uke is controlled and taken to the mat with the sankajo technique, using a pivoting and shifting movement when uke grabs both elbows from behind and pushes. From Migi Ahami Kamai, shuffle in, perform the Hojo Dosu movement. Uke grasps as in the previous technique by pushes. Shite moves forward, pivots from the back leg around to face uke, grabs in sankajo, pivots again to break uke's balance, cross steps back while punches, shuffles back, turns, and take uke to the mat, and performs the sankajo pin. Moving with uke's push, Shite moves forward from the front foot and the whole body moves forward, while the elbows move up and forward. The back foot pivots around over 180 degrees to face uke, while the hands naturally fall into the sankajo position in front of the chest. Pivot on the front foot to break uke's balance. Cross step back while punching. Grab the elbow, shuffle back to break uke's balance, and turn the right hip forward, taking uke to the mat. Face uke, and apply the sankajo pin. In this technique, uke is controlled and taken to the mat with the sankajo technique when uke grasps both shoulders from behind and pulls. From Migi Ahami Kamai, shuffle in and perform the Hojo Dosu movement. Uke circles behind and grasps both shoulders from on top and pulls. Shite shifts with the pulling motion, steps back, grabs in sankajo, shifts, cross steps back and punches, shuffles back breaking uke's balance, turns, takes uke to the mat, turns to face uke, and applies the sankajo pin. As uke circle around to behind, grabs on top of the shoulders and pulls. Shite shifts while the shoulders move circular and forward, breaking uke's balance. Step back, keeping the weight forward and grabbing the sankajo position. Shift like an Aikido Yoshinkan, breaking uke's balance. Cross step back while punching. Shuffle back with the hand on the elbow. Turn to take uke to the mat. And apply the sankajo pin. In this technique, uke is controlled and taken to the mat with the sankajo technique, using a pivoting and shifting movement when uke grasps both shoulders from behind and pushes. Migi Ahami Kamai, shuffle in, perform the Hojo Dosu movement. Uke circles around behind, grabs the shoulders on top and pushes. Shite shuffles forward, turns to face uke, grabs in the sankajo position, pivots to break uke's balance, cross step back and punches, shuffles back, turns taking uke to the mat, turns to face uke, and does a sankajo pin. As uke pushes, Shite moves from the front foot, moving the whole body forward while the shoulders circle forward and up. Pivoting on the front foot, the back foot moves around behind to face uke over 180 degrees while grabbing the sankajo position. Keeping the weight on the front foot, pivot again while applying the sankajo. Cross step back while punching. Grab the elbow. Shuffle back to break uke's balance. Turn, taking uke to the mat. Pivot on the right knee to face uke, and apply the sankajo pin. In the Yonkajo Osai technique, Shitei controls Uke and breaks his balance by causing pain to the inside of Uke's wrist along the pulse line. Shitei uses the base of his index finger to concentrate his power to control Uke to the mat. As in the Nikajo and Sankajo techniques, Yonkajo Osai helps Uke develop strong and flexible wrists. In this technique, Uke is controlled and taken to the mat with the Yonkajo technique when Shitei initiates the attack with a front strike to Uke's head. From Migiai Hami Kamae, shuffle in and strike as in Shomanuchi Ikajo Osai Chi. Shuffle forward and cut down, move to the Yonkajo position, and shuffle forward. Cross step in with the back leg, cross step in again, take Uke to the mat, apply the Yonkajo pin, turn to face Uke, and apply the Osai. Shitei shuffles in and strikes like in Shomanuchi Ikajo Osai Chi. Shuffles forward and cuts Uke's arm down. The left hand moves to the Yonkajo position, shuffles forward. The left hand moves down to the base of Uke's wrist with the thumb and index finger extended, shuffles forward, turning Uke's elbow down. Shitei's left hand should turn palm down. This is how to grab for the Yonkajo position with the bottom three fingers of the left hand, the right hand grasping Uke's wrist. Cross-stepping with the back leg, keep the lock on Uke's shoulder, stepping towards Uke's armpit. With the back leg, step forward again, taking Uke to the mat. Shitei should endeavor to keep Uke's arm in front of his body at all times. Pushing the hips forward, push Uke's arm down and lock the shoulder while keeping the control in the Yonkajo position. Turn to face Uke on the left knee. Grab the right hand. Uke's arm goes in the crook of the left elbow. And grab your chest with the left hand, the right tegatana moves to Uke's elbow, push the left hip forward, and lock the shoulder. This is the same technique, but performed from a sitting position. From Migiai Hami Kamae, shuffle in and perform Seizaho. Shitei strikes, moves forward and cuts down, grabs the Yonkajo position, shuffles forward, the left knee moves forward, then the right knee, a lock, turn to face Uke, and apply the pin. Shitei can shuffle in and perform Seiza. As Shitei strikes, Shitei comes up on his toes. Moving the right knee forward, cut Uke's arm down. The left hand moves to the Yonkajo position. The right knee moves forward while applying the Yonkajo Osai pin. Cross step in with the left knee towards Uke's armpit. Then the right knee moves forward. Push the hips forward, locking Uke's arm. Turn to face Uke, grab, and perform the Yonkajo Osai pin, locking the shoulder. In this technique, Uke is controlled and taken to the mat with a Yonkajo Osai technique, using a pivoting and shifting movement when Uke strikes at Shitei's head with a front strike. From Hidari Gyaku Hami Kamae, shuffle in, Uke strikes, and Shitei blocks. Pivoting on the front foot to the rear, cut Uke's arm down to chest height. Grab the Yonkajo, pivot while raising the hands. Pivot again while cutting Uke's arm down. Cross step forward with the back foot. Lock the shoulder with the yonkajo osai, turn to face uke, and apply the pin. Shuffle in, uke strikes and shite blocks with the left hand under uke's elbow and right hand in front of the face. Cut down in the turning motion while pivoting. The arms should be at chest height. Grab the yonkajo position, pivot while raising the hands. When you pivot, you should endeavor to keep uke's elbow and shoulder in front of your body. Pivot again while cutting down. Uke's arms should finish basically in front of the hips, in front of shite's body. Cross-stepping forward from the back leg, take uke to the mat. Pulling your left leg forward, use the hips to lock uke's shoulder, turn to face uke, and apply the yonkajo pin. This is the same technique, but performed from a sitting position. From Migye Hami Kamai, shuffle in and perform Seizoho. Uke strikes and shite blocks. Shite pivots on the left knee while cutting the arm down, grabs the yonkajo position, pivots again while raising the arms, pivots again cutting uke to the mat, and steps forward with the right knee. Locks the shoulder, turns to face uke, and applies the pin. As shite blocks uke's strike, he comes up on his toes. Pivot on the left knee, he cuts uke's arm down, stopping in front of his body at chest height. Grabs the yonkajo position, pivots on the left knee while raising the hands, pivots again taking uke to the mat. The right knee moves forward, push from the hips to lock the shoulder, turn to face uke, and apply the yonkajo pin to lock the shoulder. In this technique, uke is controlled and taken to the mat with the yonkajo osai technique when uke strikes with a side strike. From Migye Hami Kamai, shuffle in, and uke strikes like in Yokonuchi Ikajo Osai-ichi, shite blocks. Cross over and cut down, move to the yonkajo position, shuffle forward, cross step in towards uke armpit, cross step in again, taking uke to the mat, push the arm forward to lock the shoulder, and apply the pin. The first movement is like Yokonuchi Ikajo Osai-ichi. Shite should have the left hand at shoulder height while applying an atemi with the right back fist. Cross the hand over, shuffle forward and cut uke's down, arm down. The left hand moves to the yonkajo position and apply the yonkajo osai. Cross step in towards uke's armpit, cross step in again, taking uke to the mat, push your hips forward to lock the shoulder, turn on the left knee to face uke, and apply the pin. This is the same technique, but performed from a sitting position. From Migye Hami Kamai, shite nuke shuffle in and perform Seizoho. Uke strikes and shite moves to the side and blocks, crosses over, moves forward and cuts down. Grabs the yonkajo osai, shuffles forward, steps in with the left knee, then the right, pushes the hips forward to lock the shoulder, and applies the pin. Shite comes up on his toes as he moves to the side and blocks with the left hand at shoulder height while applying a right uraken at fist. Crosses over, moves forward and cuts down. The left hand moves to a yonkajo side position and shuffle forward and apply the pin. Step in with the left knee, then the right. Push your hips down to lock the shoulder, turn to face uke, and apply the pin. In this technique, uke is controlled and taken to the mat with the yonkajo osai technique, using a pivoting and shifting movement when uke strikes with a side strike. From Hidari Gekko Hami Kamae, Shite Nuke shuffle in, uke strikes while Shite moves to the side and blocks while applying an atemi. Crosses over and pivots, grabs the yonka's position, pivots again raising the arms, pivots again taking uke to the mat. Cross steps forward with the back foot taking uke to the mat, applies the pin, and locks the shoulder with the yonkajo side pin. From Hidari Gekko Hami Kamae, Shite Nuke shuffle in, uke strikes while Shite moves to the side and blocks while applying an atemi. The right hand crosses over, pivots while cutting uke's arm down. Grabs the yonka's position, pivots again while raising the arms. Pivots again, taking uke down. Cross steps forward from the back foot, taking uke to the mat. Pushes the hips forward to lock the shoulder, and applies the yonkajo pin. This is the same technique, but performed from a sitting position. From Miyai Hami Kamae, shuffle in and perform Seizaho. Uke strikes and Shite moves to the side and blocks. Crosses a hand over, pivots while cutting uke's arm down. Grabs in the yonkazo position, pivots again while raising the arms, pivots again while taking uke to the mat. The right knee moves forward, lock the shoulder, turn to face uke, and apply the yonkajo pin. As Shite blocks uke's strike, he comes up on his toes and moves to the side while applying an atemi. Crosses the right hand over, pivots on the left knee to the rear while cutting uke's arm down. Grabs in the yonkazo position, pivots on the left knee again while raising the arms. Pivots again, taking uke to the mat. The right knee moves forward. Push the hips forward to lock the shoulder, and apply the yonkajo pin. In this technique, uke is controlled and taken to the mat with the yonkajo technique when uke grabs Shite's hand and pulls. From Miyai Hami Kamae, shuffle in and uke grabs Shite's left hand with his right and pulls. Shite moves with uke's pull and applies an atemi. Moves forward while grabbing in the yonkazo position, moves forward again to lock the shoulder, moves forward again taking uke down. Cross steps in towards uke's armpit, cross steps in again taking uke to the mat, locks the shoulder, turns to face uke, and applies the yonkajo pin. Moving with uke's pull, Shite shifts while applying an atemi. Shite shuffles forward while the left hand circles outside to grab in the yonkazo position. The thumb should raise up and just turn with the left hip, and the hand naturally falls into the yonkajo position. The right hand controls uke's wrist. Shuffle forward again while raising uke's arm to lock the shoulder. Shuffle forward again while cutting down. The left leg moves towards uke's armpit. The right leg moves forward, taking uke to the mat. Push the hips forward to lock the shoulder. Turn to face uke and apply the yonkajo pin. This is the same technique, but performed from a sitting position. From Guía Hamikamai, shuffle in and perform seizoho. Uke grasps stays hand and pulls. Stay moves to the side with the pull while applying an atemi. Moves forward, grabbing in the yonka's position. Moves forward again while raising Uke's arm. Moves forward again while cutting down. The left knee moves in, then the right. Push the hips forward to lock the shoulder. Turn to face Uke and apply the yonkajo pin. As Shite moves with Uke's pull, he comes up on his toes while applying an atemi. The right knee moves forward while the left hand moves just like in the standing technique. The right knee moves forward again, raising the hands, forward again and cut down. The left knee moves towards Uke's armpit, then the right knee moves forward again. Push with the hips to lock the shoulder, turn to face Uke, and apply the yonkajo pin. In this technique, Uke is controlled and taken to the mat with the yonkajo osai technique, using a pivoting and shifting movement when Uke grasps Shite's hand and pushes. From Hidari Gakko Mikamai, shuffle in, Uke grabs Shite's left hand with his right and pushes. Shite moves to the side, pivots while raising the left hand up. Pivots again while raising Uke's arm. Pivots again, taking Uke down. Cross steps forward from the rear leg, taking Uke to the mat. Pushes the hips forward to lock the shoulder. Turns to face Uke and applies a yonkajo pin. Uke moves to the side with Uke's push while applying an atemi. The right leg pivots back while the left hand moves forward to grab in the yonkajo position. Pivot again while raising Uke's arm. Pivot again, taking Uke down. Cross step from the rear leg, taking Uke to the mat. Push the hips forward to lock the shoulder. Turn to face Uke and apply the yonkajo pin and lock the shoulder. This is the same technique, but performed from a sitting position. From Guía Hamikamai, Shite and Uke shuffle in and perform seizoho. Uke grasps Shite's left hand with his right and pushes. Shite moves to the side while applying an atemi. Shite pivots on the left knee while grabbing the yonkajo position. Pivots on the left knee again while raising the arm. Pivots on the left knee again, taking Uke to the mat. The right knee moves forward. Push with the hips to lock the shoulder. Turn to face Uke and apply the yonkajo pin. Shite comes up on his toes while moving to the side while applying an atemi. As Shite pivots on the left knee, the left hand circles up to grab in the yonkajo position. Shite pivots on the left knee again while raising Uke's arm. Pivots on the left knee again, taking Uke down in a circular motion. The right knee moves forward. Use the hips to lock the shoulder, turn to face Uke, and apply the yonkajo pin. In this technique, uke is controlled and taken to the mat with the yonkajo technique when uke grasps both shitei's hands and pulls. From Miyai Hami Kamai, shitei nuke shuffle in, uke grabs both shitei's wrists and pulls. Shitei moves to the side with the pull, moves forward, raises the arm, moves forward, cuts down, cross steps in again, taking uke to the mat, locks the shoulder, turns to face uke, and applies the yonkajo pin. From Miyai Hami Kamai, uke pulls. Uke pulls and shitei moves the left hand outside while the right hand extends to control uke's elbow. The left hand moves just like katate mochi. Moves again forward to raise uke's arm, moves again to cut down. Cross steps in with the left leg towards uke's armpit, the right leg cross steps forward, lock the shoulder, turn to face uke, and apply the yonkajo pin. This is the same technique, but performed from a sitting position. From Miyai Hami Kamai, shuffle in and perform seizoho. Shitei moves with uke's pull and to the side. Moves forward while raising the hands, moves forward again while raising uke's arm, moves forward and cuts down. The left knee moves in, and the right knee moves forward, lock the shoulder, and apply the yonkajo pin. As shitei moves with uke's pull, he comes up on his toes. The hands move as in the standing technique while the right knee moves forward. The right knee moves forward again while raising uke's arm. The right knee moves forward again while cutting uke's arm down. The left knee moves towards uke's armpit. The right knee moves forward again, taking uke to the mat. Using the power of the hips, lock the shoulder, turn to face uke, and apply the yonkajo pin. In this technique, uke is controlled and taken to the mat with the yonkajo osai technique, using a pivoting and shifting movement when uke grasps both shitei's hands and pushes. From Hidari Gyaku Hami Kamai, shitei nuke shuffle in, uke grasps both hands and pushes. Shitei moves to the side, pivots while raising the hand, pivots again while raising uke's arm, pivots again taking uke down, cross steps forward, takes uke to the mat, locks the shoulder, turns to face uke, and applies the yonkajo pin. Shitei's left hand moves just like the katate mochi knee technique while the right hand extends uke's elbow, pivots while the left hand grabs like in the number 1 technique. Pivots again while taking uke's arm up, pivots again taking uke to the mat, cross steps forward again, locking uke's shoulder, locks uke's shoulder with the hips, turns to face uke, and applies the yonkajo pin. This is the same technique, but performed from a sitting position. From Miyai Hami Kamai, shuffle in and perform seizoho. Uke grasps both Shitei's wrist and pushes. Shitei moves to the side, pivots again while raising Uke's arm, pivots again, taking Uke down, brings the right knee forward, taking Uke to the mat, locks the shoulder, turns to face Uke, and applies the pin. As Shitei moves to the side to break Uke's balance, he comes up on his toes and the hands move just like in the standing technique. Shitei pivots on the left knee while grabbing in the Yonkajo position, pivots on the left knee again while cutting Uke's arm up, pivots again on the left knee, taking Uke down. The right knee moves forward, taking Uke to the mat. Push the hips forward to lock the shoulder, turn to face Uke, and apply the Yonkajo pin. In this technique, Uke is controlled and taken to the mat with the Yonkajo technique when Uke grasps Shitei's elbow from on top and pulls. From Migye Hami Kamai, Shitei Nuke shuffling, Uke grabs Shitei's left elbow on top of his right and pulls. Shitei moves to the side and applies the atemi. Shuffles forward while sliding up the arm and then cuts down. Breaks the grip, grabs the Yonkajo position, shuffles forward, cross steps in again, taking Uke to the mat, locks the shoulder, turns to face Uke, and applies the Yonkajo pin. The first movement is performed just like Hijimochi Ikajo Osaichi. Shitei moves to the side while applying an atemi, grabs Uke's right hand and keeps contact with the elbow, shuffles forward and slides the left hand up Uke's elbow. Cuts down, taking Uke down, finishing at chest height. Shuffles forward once more to break Uke's grip on the elbow. The left hand moves to the Yonkajo position. Shuffles forward again while applying a Rankajo. The right hand turns to control Uke's wrist. Cross step in towards Uke's armpit with the left leg, cross step again to take Uke to the mat, lock the shoulder with the power of the hips, and apply the Yonkajo pin. This is the same technique, but performed from a sitting position. From Migye Hami Kamai, shuffle in and perform Seizoho. Uke grasps in the standing technique and pulls. Shitei moves to the side while applies an atemi, moves forward raising the arm, moves forward, cuts down, shuffles forward again to break the grip, grabs in the Yonkajo position and moves forward, steps in with the left knee, then the right, locks the shoulder, turns to face Uke, and applies the Yonkajo pin. As Uke grasps and pulls, Shitei moves to the side, comes up on his toes, and applies an atemi. Grabs the hand, moves forward while raising the elbow, moves forward again and while cutting down. The right knee moves forward while Shitei breaks Uke's grip, and the left hand moves to the Yonkajo position. Shuffle forward while applying the Yonkajo. Step in with the left knee towards Uke's armpit, then the right. Lock the shoulder, turn to face Uke, and apply the Yonkajo pin. In this technique, Uke is controlled and taken to the mat with the Yonkajo Osai technique, using a pivoting and shifting movement when Uke grasps Shitei's elbow and pushes. From Hidari Gaku Hami Kamai, Uke grabs as in the number 1 technique and pushes. Stay moves to the side and applies a temi. Pivots while raising the arm. Pivots again while cutting down. Pivot on the left knee to break Uke's grip. Grab in the Yonka's position. Pivot again while raising Uke's arm. Pivot again while cutting down. Cross step forward with the back foot. Lock the shoulder. Turn to face Uke and apply the pin. Uke grabs as in the number 1 technique but pushes. Shite moves to the side with Uke's push and applies an atemi. Grabs the hand, pivoting while raising the left hand, sliding up Uke's elbow. Pivot on the left leg again while breaking Uke's balance more. Pivot once more to break Uke's grip. The left hand moves to the Yonkajo position. Shite raises Uke's arms and pivots while applying the Yonkajo. Shite should endeavor to lock both Uke's wrist, elbow, and shoulder, keeping Uke's arm in front of his body. Shite pivots again, taking Uke down. Cross steps forward with the right leg, taking Uke to the mat. Lock the shoulder, turn to face Uke, and apply the pin. This is the same technique, but performed from a sitting position. From Miyai Hami Kamai, shuffle in and perform Seizoho. Uke grasps as in the standing technique and pushes. Stay moved to the side while applying an atemi. Pivot on the left knee while cutting up Uke's arm. Pivot on the left knee again, cutting Uke down. Pivot once more to break Uke's grip. Grabbing the Yonkajo, pivot again. Pivot again, taking Uke to the mat. The right knee moves forward. Push the hips to lock the shoulder, turn to face Uke, and apply the pin. As Shite moves with Uke's push, he comes up on his toes while applying an atemi. The right hand controls Uke's hands. Pivot on the left knee while cutting up Uke's elbow. Pivot on the left knee again while cutting Uke's arm down, finishing at chest height. Pivot again to release Uke's grip. The left hand moves to the Yonkajo position. Pivot on the left knee again while raising Uke's arm, ensuring that the right hand grabs Uke's wrist. Pivot again, taking Uke down towards the mat. The right knee moves forward, taking Uke directly to a prone position. Push the hips forward to lock the shoulder and apply the pin. In this technique, Uke is controlled and taken to the mat with the Yonkajo technique, and Uke grabs Shite's shoulder and pulls. From Migi Hami Kamai, shuffle in. Uke grabs Shite's left shoulder with his right hand with the palm down and pulls. Shite moves while applying an atemi. Shuffles forward while cutting up Uke's arm. Shuffles forward and cuts down. Shuffles forward to break Uke's grip. Grabs in the Yonkajo position and moves forward. The back leg steps in towards Uke's armpit. Back leg steps forward again, taking Uke to the mat. Lock the shoulder. Turn to face Uke and apply the pin. Uke grasps as in Katamochi Ika Josaichi. Shite moves with Uke's pull while applying an atemi. The right hand grabs the shoulder, keeping in contact with the shoulder, while the left hand slides up Uke's elbow while moving forward. Moving forward again to cut down Uke's arm. Move forward again to release Uke's grip. The left hand moves to the Yonkajo position. Shuffle forward while applying the Yonkajo. Step with the back leg towards Uke's armpit. Then the right leg moves forward, taking Uke to the mat. Use the hips to lock the shoulder, turn to face Uke, and apply the pin. This is the same technique, but performed from a sitting position. From Mige Hami Kamae, shuffle in and perform Seizoho. Uke grasses in the standing technique and pulls. Shite moves to the side with Uke's pull while applying an atemi. Shuffles forward while sliding up Uke's elbow. Shuffle forward again, cutting down. Shuffle forward again to break the grip. Apply the yonkajo. The left knee moves towards Uke's armpit. Then the right knee moves forward. Use the hips to lock the shoulder. Turn to face Uke and apply the yonkajo pin. As Shite moves with Uke's pull, he comes up on his toes while applying an atemi. The right hand grabs to keep contact with Uke's wrist and shoulder. Shuffle forward while sliding the left hand up Uke's elbow. The right knee moves forward while cutting Uke's arm down, finishing at chest height. The right knee moves forward again to break Uke's grip, and the left hand moves into the yonkajo position. Shuffle forward while applying the yonkajo. The left knee moves towards Uke's armpit. The right knee moves forward. Use the hips to lock the shoulder. Turn to face Uke and apply the yonkajo pin. In this technique, Uke is controlled and taken to the mat with the yonkajo osai technique, using a pivoting and shifting movement when Uke grasps his shoulder and pushes. From Untitled Chapter, shuffle in, Uke grabs as in the number 1 technique and pushes. Shite moves to the side while applying an atemi. Pivots on the left foot while raising the left hand. Pivot again, cutting Uke's arm down. Pivot once more to break Uke's grip. Grab the yonko position. Pivot while raising the hands. Pivot again, taking Uke down. Cross step forward, taking Uke to the mat. Lock the shoulder. Turn to face Uke and apply the yonkajo pin. As in Katatemochi Ikajo Osai ni, Shite moves to the side while applying an atemi. Grabs Uke's wrist, keeps contact with his shoulder, pivots on the left leg while sliding the left hand up Uke's elbow. Pivot on the left leg again while cutting Uke's arm down to chest height. Pivot again to break Uke's grip. The left hand moves to a yonkajo position. Pivot once more on the left leg while applying the yonkajo while raising both Shite's arms. Pivot again, cutting Uke's arm down. The back leg cross steps forward, taking Uke to the mat. Use the hips to lock the shoulder. Turn to face Uke and apply the yonkajo pin. This is the same technique, but performed from a sitting position. From Mige Hami Kamae, shuffle in and perform Seizoho. Uke grasps as in the standing technique and pushes. Shite moves to the side while applying an atemi. Pivots while lifting up the left hand. Pivots again, cutting Uke's arm down. Pivots once more to break the grip. Grabs in the yonkajo position. Pivots again while applying the yonkajo. Pivots again, cutting Uke's arm down. The right knee moves forward. Use the hips to lock the shoulder. And apply the yonkajo pin. Moving with Uke's push, Shite comes up on his toes while applying an atemi. Shite grabs Uke's right hand and keeps it in contact with his left shoulder while pivoting and raising the left elbow up Uke's elbow. Pivot again on the left knee while cutting Uke's arm down. Pivot once more to break Uke's grip. The left hand moves to the yonkazo position. Pivot on the left knee while raising Uke's arm. The right hand controls Uke's wrist. Pivot on the left knee again while cutting Uke's arm down. The right knee moves forward to lock the shoulder. Use the hips to apply the Yonkajo pin. Turn to face Uke and apply the Yonkajo side.